Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Blooded. My name is Dave. Thank you for joining me here tonight. It is Whiskey Wednesday, and we are going to be reviewing whiskey as we always do every Wednesday. Today we'll be in my office, as you see, and the reason for that is my wife is doing some kind of crazy art project out in our dining area, which is where I do my normal reviews. So we'll be in here today, and today we'll be reviewing the Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. So this was, I mentioned last week, that I was going to keep an eye out for you guys and what you wanted to review. But the stuff you were requesting, I didn't have a bottle of, and I just didn't have any time to stop by the store this week, so I didn't pick up anything new. I've had this for about a month, a little less than a month maybe, and this is the Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. The reason I decided to pick this one is because this won Whiskey of the Year from Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible, which a lot of you I'm sure have heard of or have read or might own a copy. And I figured this would be a fun review to do to see if this is truly the whiskey of the year. So this is what he was saying. So let's open it up and take a look at the bottle. So it comes in a standard Crown Royal bag. It's a different color, obviously, but this is your standard bag with the rope. I'm sure you guys, if you were anything like me when you were a kid, you probably kept Legos or something in here if your dad drank Crown Royal. It seems like all of my family likes Crown Royal. I've never been a huge fan of the traditional Crown Royal, so we're going to try this rye today. And I have tried it before, and I'm going to save my thoughts until the end. We'll go unbiased until the end, and then we'll really think about, is this the whiskey of the year? You know, how is this overall compared to other ryes? So this one here, this one is a 90 proof rye, which means it's 45% alcohol. It is 90% rye whiskey. So they go through a little bit here on the back to read this to you. Crown Royal Rye is a unique whiskey blend crafted from 90% rye mash whiskey. Our Canadian rye grain is planted in the sprouting until it's covered by a blanket of soft winter snow. Once the snow melts, our rye completes its growth, maturing over the spring and summer. This distinctive growth cycle creates the perfect grain for a deliciously balanced whiskey, extraordinarily smooth with hints of fruit, cloves, and spice. This is $30 roughly, at least in my area. This is about $30. And it's a Crown Royal Canadian whiskey. Obviously, we know Crown Royal is a Canadian whiskey. So this is a Canadian whiskey. So let's pour it and look at the color. I have a new tasting glass. I forgot to mention that. So I picked this one up. It's got this glass top. So if you're tasting something and you want to cover it for a while, you can do that. I thought that pretty neat. And it's got a stem on it, so you can move it a little easier. A lot more expensive than your traditional tasting glass. And they have one like this that's got a lip at the end that goes outward, just like a lot of the really expensive ones. This was $15, I think, dollars. I think it was $15. But the one with the lip that goes out is like $70. So I went for the cheaper one for now to start tasting some of these with stems. It's definitely a lot easier to move whiskey around with this one. So I might pick a couple more of these up. The traditional glass that I've been using in older reviews is great too, but I've actually come to like this one. It's got the ability to nose a little bit deeper. It's a much taller glass. I was going to grab another glass for you guys, but I don't feel like going off camera. The normal glass comes up to about here, and so this one's definitely taller, that extra stem, and a little bit deeper here. So let's take a look at the color on this one, guys. So this is the Crown Royal Rye, and this is a newer product for them. It's got a twist cap, no cork on it. Don't like that. And the color you can really get from the bottle because it's a nice clear bottle. But just to put it up here for you. There we go. There's your color on this one. So it's amber. I mean, it's almost, you know, kind of the definition of amber. It's a light amber color, light amber gold color. As for the nose, you know, it does have a good nose. A lot of ryes do, though, because ryes are traditionally, at least to me and my smell and flavor, very pleasant on the nose. So when I smell it, you know, I smell familiar Crown Royal things. I smell familiar rye smells. I smell the apple. I smell the pear. A lot of light fruit notes, like a very light cake smell. But the fruit is the biggest thing. The apple, the pear. Followed by that, there's just the lightest bit of the spicier, more menthol notes, which I think is part of that rye grain coming through. But the fruit is the main thing that you get off of this one, is the fruit smell. At the very back end of it, when you really take it in through your nose, you smell a little bit more of that alcohol, that proof, a little more barrel. They don't say, do they say the time on this one? I don't think they do. They don't say the time that it was in the cask, but if I had to guess, it's probably between 2 and 3 years. It's a big company and they're trying to churn out a new product, so it's probably pretty young. Maybe a little longer, but I'm smelling it between, let's say, 2 and 4 years. I should have looked that up. Sorry, guys. I like that it's 90 proof. I really do. That's good. 90 and above is, 90 to like 110 is a good proof for any whiskey. Second try here, and then we'll give you some notes. Let me describe this to you with one taste. Remember when you were younger, or even recently, and you go to a fair, let's say, or a festival or a fair or some type of event where there's concession stands, and you get a caramel apple. That first bite you take of the caramel apple is like the first drink of the beginning of this whiskey. It's very apple, it's very caramel, sweet, light, young tasting. After that taste, then it starts to open up just a little bit. Very smooth, but just a little bit. It's got the pear, the apple, a little bit of the menthol underneath, some of those spicier notes from the rye. Not like mustardy spicy, not like hot spicy, not like peppered candy spicy. These are more like the rye bread spicy. It's like I mentioned, some of that cake. It's like a cake mixed with a little bit of rye bread and some of that rye, mentholy, very light peppery taste. But mainly it's that apple, the pear, the light notes, the sweetness of the caramel taste. And after that, just underlying with those other more rye and barrel effects. But most of it is that sweet note. So what do I think about it? I don't think it's the whiskey of the year. The issue that I have with the whiskey of the year, or not really even an issue. I mean, it's just what he sells books. So his picks are going to be maybe things that are controversial. I mean, he picked a Japanese single malt, I believe a couple of years ago or 2 years ago, and then he picked a Canadian. He's not picking just the traditional best overall scotches or bourbons. He's going for things that are going to sell books, and credit to him, it's going to sell books. We don't know. I don't think he discloses. Maybe he does. I have the book here with me, but I don't think he discloses, Jim Murray, if he's paid anything. I'm sure the stuff he's reviewing, he can get his hands on for free. I'm sure they're more than willing to send him things to review. But, I don't think that this pick was necessarily the best whiskey of the year. Maybe the best new whiskey. It's not bad. Maybe the best new whiskey, but let me give you my score on this one. So I think for this Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye, I think that the price is fantastic, but it's a young whiskey from what I can smell and taste. I think there are many other whiskeys out there for a couple more dollars that are much better, but I love the price, and I love the fact that it's readily available. That makes it very easy. And for a rye, it's really not too bad. It's It's got a couple little tastes that are different than some of the other ryes that I prefer, but this would go good in a drink, and it goes good neat too. So I'm going to say that this one is a 89 out of 100. I'm literally writing this down as we go. So 89 out of 100. The only thing I don't like about it, so there it is. Number one, same bottle, or similar bottle to most Crown bottles. Could have used something a little bit different for a brand new product. But number two, it is too smooth. It is too light and caramelly. So if you want a really smooth rye whiskey, this is the way to go. But if you want something that's a little bit meatier or taste a little older, then, or you want a straight whiskey, if you want 100% straight rye whiskey or a 95% straight rye, then maybe you up that rye content. But I think this is an 89 out of 100. There's not a lot of $30 whiskeys that are going to blow me away. There's some very good ones, but they're few and far between, like Bourbon, Elijah Craig, and Sazerac's 6-year-old. You know, there's a couple different $30 to $35 whiskeys that do a great job, but this is just brinking on that. This needs to age longer, I think. Maybe be a little bit more on rye. Maybe put this at like a 95% rye. I think it could use a little more heat. So that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about the Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. Let me know what you think about, is this truly the whiskey of the year? Is it not the whiskey of the year? I think we could find some other ones to rival this for similar prices or maybe a couple more dollars. But yeah, that's a review for this week. We'll be back next week with an... Will we be back next week? We will. Next week will be my last review before I head to Vegas for the weekend. So Thursday morning, I'm flying out for Las Vegas and hopefully get to try some really good whiskey down there and rarer stuff. But I'll do a video right before I leave that night. Maybe we'll try to do something special since we're heading off to Las Vegas the next morning. So guys, thank you for joining me. My name is Dave. This has been Whiskey Blooded. Thanks for cramming into my office here to watch this review. We will see you next week. Have a good one.